Greetings to you. Welcome specially to Engineer Construction Lecture Hub. All right, today we are going to look at number of rebars. Okay, then we're also looking at spacing of rebars. Spacing of rebars. Now, understand that when we talk about number of rebars, basically we are looking at the number of rebar that is expected to, cover a span. Okay, cover a span. Cover a span, and a span is the distance between one support. For example, we have a support here. Okay, then we have another support here. So the distance between this point to this point is the span. Okay, is the span. All right. So ordinarily, when we have a base, for example, we have a base, let's say a base of 1 meter. Okay, let's say we have a base of 1 meter by 1 meter. All right, so let's say from here to this point we have it as 1000. Then this point to this point we have it as 1000. All right, now we have our reinforcement this way. We have our reinforcement this way. This is a square base. Now understand that, for example, this particular reinforcement, when we talk about number of reinforcement, we are looking at it as this. To get the number of reinforcement, number of rebars, that is reinforcement bars, is equal to the spacing, the span rather, okay, divided by the spacing, okay, divided by the spacing plus 1. So this will give us the number of rebars. Now this number of rebars is quite different from the spacing of rebars. Okay, it's quite different from the spacing of rebars. Now the number of rebar talks about the number of rebar that will span through, that will cover that span. All right, that is from this point, let's say from this point to this point. Okay, that is for this particular reinforcement. Okay, the same thing for this, from here to this point. Okay, so this. All right, so now for us to get this, assuming this is 1000 by 1000, it means that our reinforcement length now, the length of this reinforcement will be 900. Okay, it will be 900. So that becomes the span, because you're going to deduct 50 millimeter from this end. You deduct 50 millimeter from this end. So whatever that will remain will now be the span that you're going to use. You're not using the 1000 as it is here. So you say 900. Okay, that is 1000. All right, minus 100, 50-50 for both ends. So let's say the spacing is 150. All right, so we have it as 1. So when you add this, when you work out this, it will now give you 7. Okay, it will now give you 7. So 7 now becomes the number of reinforcement that will span this length of the base. Okay, now the spacing aspect of it now has to do with the space center to center. That is the placement, because this reinforcement will be placed this way, placed this way, placed this way, placed this way. Okay, so we have 7 of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 5, we have 6, we have 7. Okay, so the distance between these two is the spacing, which is the 150 here. So when you look at this now, you know we have the first space is this. We have second space, that is 2. We have 3. we have 4, we have 5, we have 6. So understand that for this dimension of base now, we have 6, that is the spacing now will be 6, while the number of bars will be 7. So understand this aspect, because when you're doing your placement, so as it is now, it's going to be a 7 by 7. Okay, it's going to be a 7 by 7. All right, so this is 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say 7. Okay, so it's going to be a 7. Practically, this is how it's expected to be. All right, because it's a square, 1000 by 1000 millimeters. Okay, square base. So you have calculated 7 for one side, so the other will also be 7. So in this case now, you can say 7 y12, okay, 01 at 150, okay, center to center. You can say this is bottom. All right, this is bottom, but in some cases, since it's a square, you can say both ways. That is BW. You can say BW. So without even talking about this one, because it's a square, so whatever you have on one side, the same thing as having on the other side. So this is 7, let's say y12, okay, 0, 1, all right, at 150, okay, center to center, top. Okay, so this is like interpreting the structural detail for this particular base, but the emphasis is to understand the number of rebars and the spacing of rebars. Okay, so we don't misplace them. So usually the number of rebars is more than the spacing of the rebar for a particular base or slab, as the case may be. All right, so if you agree on this, you can show that at the comment section, and do well to follow this page for more updates as regards to construction. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Bye.